Hey, no trouble, what's good? My name is Ted Gould. Some of you guys may know me from different social media outlets as Blyss. I'm a bass player originally from New Orleans, and I'm really excited to be bringing you this first installment of this new no trouble groove / styles column. We're going to start off today talking about a type of groove that's really prevalent in music from my hometown of New Orleans, and that is the Tresillo rhythm. New Orleans is a melting pot of influences from Africa, the Caribbean, and Europe. And Cuba and New Orleans historically shared the same trade routes, and musical and cultural exchanges can be traced back to the early 1800s. Two very common grooves heard in New Orleans music are the Cuban habenera and a derivation of that called the Tresillo. If you've ever experienced a brass band or second line or funk music out of New Orleans, then you've definitely heard and felt the Tresillo rhythm in action. So Jelly Roll Morton, the great jazz pianist, called it that Spanish tinge, and he actually considered the habanera and tresillo an essential part of jazz. Now, the habanera figure is dotted eighth, 16th, followed by 2 eighth notes, and it's counted in 2. Now, in Western music, we are generally counting things or grouping things in 4, but so in 2/4, it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 1. Boom, 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 boom. I'm sure you've heard that rhythm before, say in Carmen from the opera. So, ding, 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 ding. Right? The Tresillo is a variation of that. So instead of having the 2 eighth notes on the end, what we have now is a dotted eighth, 16th note figure, followed by an eighth note, and then an eighth note rest, and then an eighth note. So you have this rhythm. So let me show you some examples of this rhythm in action. I'm only going to go through a few, but musicians like Louis Armstrong, Dave Bartholomew, Professor Longhair, the Meters. You can hear this rhythm from way back there all the way up into modern brass bands like the Dirty Dozen, Rebirth, and the Hot 8. So let me play for you a couple of examples, and we'll talk about them as we go along. This first one I'm going to show you is a song called Country Boy by Dave Bartholomew. Great trumpet player, singer, producer. Did a lot of work with Fats Domino, and really laid the foundation for what we know as what would become rock and roll and rhythm and blues music. So let's check out Country Boy. In this example, you're going to hear that Tresillo rhythm in the horns while the rhythm section plays straight swing rhythm. So the horns are playing just a triad figure, a major triad figure over each chord of a straight blues form. Boom, I think there was B flat. Yeah, B flat. It's probably very, very familiar to you. Now we're just kind of putting a name to the face, so to speak. So that's the first example I want to show you. There's tons of examples, but that's a really good one, Country Boy by Dave Bartholomew. The next example of this rhythm in action is I'm going to show you is Mardi Gras in New Orleans by Professor Longhair. This is a New Orleans classic, New Orleans standard. Really, really great tune by the great Professor Longhair. Check it out. Now, on this, it's interesting. You've got the left hand of the piano playing the Tresillo rhythm, and you can also hear a 3/2 clave happening in the background. 1, 2, Again, the Tresillo applied to a major triad pattern. So let's fast forward a little bit to the 70s. New Orleans funk, the great funk ambassadors, originators of New Orleans funk music, the Meters, and Zigaboo Modaliste on the drums, of course. And listen out for this second line groove happening in Hey Pocky way. So what you hear going on in this is you hear the kick drum with Zig playing in between the cracks. So let's fast forward even further to the Rebirth Brass Band and a song called Do What You Wanna. Here you're gonna hear that rhythm being played by the tuba right in the beginning. You can also hear the bass drum playing that Tresillo rhythm as well. Snare drum playing in the cracks the same way that you heard on the last example. So there's some examples of the Tresillo rhythm in action. I'll leave some links in the text portion of this column so you can check out some other examples. If you're practicing triads or something like that, you can definitely add a little more interest by just randomizing, force, take it out of that root vibe and change it up. Do your permutations. All right, so that is the Tresillo rhythm based on the habanera from Cuba, prominent in New Orleans music. And I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, get your groove on.